Hello. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, Osim, you're audible.
Yeah. Hi. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. We are from THiNC Institute of Design. And here we are today with a demo class for NID, NIFT, and UCEED exams. Before starting with the session, I would just like to tell you that you have a chat box where you can ask your questions and keep the session more interactive. And you can also unmute your mic one at a time and ask your questions. And we are also on live in YouTube, and students who have doubts over there, you can ask your questions in YouTube as well as both YouTube and Webex. Yeah, so first, this is how we have planned today's session. Overall, it's 1.5 hours, out of which first 45 minutes will be taken on the NID and design oriented, and the next 45 minutes will be on UCEED oriented. And here I'll take this chance to welcome our first faculty, first staff, the first speaker of the day. I welcome Vibhu. So Vibhu.
Hi,
Vibhu. Yeah. Hi, Vibhu. You can start with the session. I've not given an intro about you, but you can start with it with an intro of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Osim. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, all. Hope my sound is audible to every one of you. Hoping to have a very fine day to all. I will start with briefly introducing myself and moving into further details, which is probably related to the demo class, which probably the type of class which probably we conduct over here. And we are preparing for students who are getting themselves ready for NID, NIFT, or UC. So I'm Vibhu. I'm actually from Kerala. Basically, I did my graduation in mechanical engineering, after which I did work with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited for almost 5 years, after which I got into doing my post-graduation with the National Institute of Design, Gandhinagar, PG in Transportation and Automobile Design, which basically comes under industrial design. After which I had some brief experiences with industries like TI Cycles, Mahindra and all. Thereon I jumped into education sector, wherein I was working almost with Watson School of Design, Hyderabad for almost 1 year. And now currently I'm working with THiNC Institute of Design as one of the faculties who basically look into contents which are related to design and creative side. So that's about me, and how we are going to give insights is probably we will be giving a very brief idea of how the process is going to happen, how the classes is going to be conducted with this platform, in the online platform, because all of you are aware of the fact that because of the COVID scenario, most of the classes are, even though we conduct both online and offline classes before also, majorly we have focused into online platform this time because a lot of issues probably related to corona is preventing us to go for offline classes. But we still don't want to compromise on our online class, and we are trying our level best to reach out to students and give the best from our side. So yeah, so that's it. So we'll start with very quick, giving you some very basic insights into how to get prepared for yourself for the upcoming design-based courses, and some basic insights probably. So I'll start about letting you know what are the probably colleges which are within our country, which are probably providing courses in undergraduate, which is related to design. So the major premium institute, if you look at in our country, are basically National Institute of Design, Indian Institute of Technology, IITs basically, and NIFT. And you're also probably aware of the fact that for NID and NIFT, they individually are the government, even though these organizations are under the control of government. Majorly NID and NIFT is more or less an autonomous body and they conduct their own examination. However, for undergraduates in IIT, probably we need to go for UCEED examination, and after which, based on your UCEED score and UCEED rankings, you can probably apply for different colleges. Other than these premium institute within our country, there are a lot more of private colleges which also provide you design related education, basically undergraduate programs. So in many of them, even UCEED scores are still considered valid. Okay, so usually that is the major colleges which are providing the courses related to undergraduate. And tell you some very basic idea about what are the basic courses which are majorly provided in our country under the field of design. So if you look at design as a whole, you can basically subdivide it into subcategories like industrial design, communication design, IT integrated design, and fashion oriented design. So there are basically these 3-4 classifications which are majorly there. But if you look at undergraduate, I don't know whether every one of these possibilities are there. The major possibilities are basically for industrial design, communication design, and fashion based design. Integrated design is majorly into NID, which are there in NID, but is majorly in post graduation opportunities. So we'll start with giving some very basic insights on industrial design stuff. So there are probably many of you students who have interest or keen interest towards going for creating things, or the people who feel themselves as someone who have this creative ability of making things, the one who are really a hands-on type of person. You like repairing stuff. You love mechanisms. You look into small details of machineries and things. You try to fix stuff. You are a DIY type of person. You probably love craft. So many of the those who probably have interest or inclination toward making stuff, this sort of content, probably they should be the ones going for industrial design. And the major courses which are provided within our country under industrial design is basically product design, furniture and interior design, and ceramic and glassware design. I'm saying about UG. There are far more courses which are coming under industrial design, but they are all under post-graduation courses. So if you look at that, you can see that within product design, you can see there is both the courses available after going out NID examination and when you clear UCEED also. Looking at furniture design, it's majorly a course which is provided in National Institute of Design. Ceramic and glassware design is also the course which is majorly provided in National Institute of Design. So here I've written UCEED because there are a lot of IITs, IISCs, and even School of Planning and Architecture where seed scores or UCEED scores are valid. That is why I'm not specifically written any IITs, rather I've written UCEED. So if you are able to clear UCEED examination or NID examination, you can get into product design or furniture or ceramic glassware design based on your interest. So if you look at basically product design, it is a course where you look at the day-to-day products. It can be health-related products. It could be maybe an automobile itself. It could be a car. It could be a purse. It could be a bag. It could be a bulb. It could be electronic devices. What are the functionalities going into it? How if it could be furniture? Understanding the different users, understanding what are their requirements, and exactly doing some research based on that, and finally coming out with some insight to making the product. This is basically covered under the field of product design. Similarly, when you look into furniture and interior design, again, it is very specifically looking into creating, looking into the aesthetics of the interior. So how to go about creating furniture, which is not just functional, rather it serves some sense of aesthetics based on where the furniture is going to be used. Is the furniture going to be used in the interior of a house? Is the furniture going to be used inside a cafe? Is the furniture is going to be used inside a luxury restaurant or a hotel? So based on the space where it is going to be used, understand the exact mood and scenario, creating the right furniture and setting up the interiors. So when I'm talking about interior design comes because there are a lot of other elements like lighting solutions, type of graphic design which goes into creating the room look perfect with respect to the type of furniture used. So furniture design is basically which covers the entire interior of a room basically. Now coming into ceramic and glassware design, there you will be basically working with ceramics and different types of glass mediums, and you will be looking into creating products. it's not necessary that you will be just making cutleries or vessels out of glass and ceramics. You will be making products. You will be making things which can be of rather more importance in terms of having a functional use. So when you look at the word industrial design, so the basic difference when you consider the word industrial is you have to compare it with craft. So industrial design means you do a set of research. You understand who are the users, product, or age of the person for whom you are going to make it. What is the gender? What is the person? What is the status? Social status? Everything is understood. You do research, what are the that you come up with, and based on which you start to do an ideation and come up with product. So ceramic also shows that you only just cutlery to make rather more functional also is possible. So this is what is being covered under the course of industrial design. Now coming to computer design again, this is something which is very common, allowed, and a lot of students are really enthusiastic, want to go for communication design. So which is very common to see teams all around movies, looking at graphic design, post animation, creating videos, creating exhibition space, these communication design. These are courses provided in film design, animation, film design, which is there in NID and IITs. Film design, which is again a course which is provided both in NID and IITs. And then you have film and video design, which is a course provided in NID. Then you have the course called as design, which is again provided at NID. So, and film design, the book creating animation-based movies and starting with creating characters, illustrating characters, identifying scenarios, having a story through animation, also probably covering that. Graphic design again, a large piece sought after course within application design is something which is a lot of students really to join, and there's a lot of opportunities in the current scenario with UI UX. The opportunities during UX going very high. There's a lot of opportunity of students who would love to join UX, UI UX areas and probably take as one of the best options. Wherein you will be probably working on creating posters, creating creating contents for advertising, for digital marketing, the UI UX purpose, everything will be under the platform of UX. Then comes film and video design. So the people who are probably interested into creating films, short films, conveying stories, maybe putting documentaries, making documentaries, all those interested areas are probably covered in the field of film and video. And exhibition design is about creating exhibition spaces when it comes to retail and merchandising of products. We exhibition design is something which is very important. So these are the major. So you can consider exhibition design as a course which basically comes under, which can be a broader classification of graphic design. We can consider in that sense. So these are the major subdivisions when we look at the field of communication design. Now we will look at the next opportunities that are basically fashion and lifestyle accessory design. So if you look at fashion and lifestyle accessory design, the major courses which are there within our country for UG is first is fashion design. As such, the course is only provided in National Institute of Fashion Technologies. Then you have jewelry design, again a course which is majorly provided in NIFT. Then you have fashion communication, another course which is provided in NIFT. Finally, you have something called as textile design, where you have both the opportunity of going for NIFT as well as NID. So again, these are area where people who probably have interest towards fashion, or who follow trends in the fashion, who are interested towards fashion, are the people probably who should be chasing for fashion and lifestyle accessory design. Now, coming to making you understand the importance of art and design. So before prior going to this, I'll give a very small insights about how the classes are going to happen within our institute. So basically, THiNC is a premium institute who is into giving the basic or the preliminary design education for students from past few across a lot of years, and we have been majorly into students who are keen into getting into premium institute within our country. So the way we conduct classes is basically we have if you look at the classes which is provided, we have two part. One is we can basically majorly divide into one is which is into the part of drawing. The other one is about designing or the creative part. So drawing is something which is purely skill based or thing which can be up to some extent introduced by to anyone by some sort of practice. For example, if you can pick a random person and just probably teach him how to go about making a pot from pottery wheel, within a short span of time, maybe within a 1 week, he can probably start creating pottery wheel or maybe a pot out of pottery wheel. So that is just skill based. You don't have to invest a lot of ideas or creative part. You rather have to learn the skill. So here we, by drawing, what we are trying to do is within the given short period of time, would help you to improve your sketching skills. So many of the students who have the issue with getting into the examinations is that they are confused because they are not very competent or they are rather confused about their illustration skills. So let me tell you one important fact. In most of this institute, which is related to design, the thing which is rather of more importance is not just drawing. Rather, what the institutes are majorly looking at, or the major design colleges are looking at, your creative side. How creative are you? Are you able to generate something which is very unusual in terms of creating product? There are a lot of people who are probably, there are a lot of artists who probably can convert your idea into wonderful sketches. So they are not interested at the final sketch. Rather, what they're interested in is do you have something which is very unique in terms of an idea? For example, everyone probably know what is Uber, Ola, or maybe Zomato, things like that. So these are all recent digital platforms which is helping humans in the day-to-day life in the current scenario. But these were things which were not there if you look maybe 10 or 15 years previous. But in this current time, you can't you can't just think of going into other state and probably getting a taxi without an Uber and Ola. It's really difficult. Even this, you can say, is a wonderful idea, and this is not something which is related to drawing. So it's about your idea, which rather these colleges are interested into. And again, how your ideas are there depends on the society from where you're coming, your social, the geography from where you're coming, your culture, your friend circle, the experiences you had in your life. Everything actually matters when coming into your creative thinking. So actually, everyone is creative in their own way. Probably some of you are creative in terms of your sketching skills. Some might be creative in terms of they have really good music sense. Some might be creative in coming up with wonderful dishes. Some would be really good cook. Some would be creative in terms of maybe sculpting things or maybe doing some sort of DIY. So everyone is having creativity on their own specific ways. So what we will be looking at through our institute is we will be giving very customized insights to students. We will be looking at each and every student. What are they really good at? Some would be really good in the drawing side. Some would be really good in their creative side. So we will be trying to look at which is the area probably we need to emphasize more on for the particular student. So majorly when we conduct courses, we will start on with giving insights into drawing because many of the time we need to convey an idea through drawing. Okay, so you all know that even though we have all these five senses, our visual sense is considered as one of the superior one, or it is rather very important when you consider design, especially in the field of aesthetic design. So if you have to convey an idea to someone, I think visual or drawings are one of the best options rather than just going verbally or using any other senses. You probably might not be able to convey the exact idea which you have in your mind through any other medium other than visuals, which is or drawings. That is the best medium you can use. So it would be really good if you have some very basic drawing skills through which you can convey your ideas into a third person who probably would be helping you to realize your concept. For example, you want to make a prototype of something, but you have an idea of the prototype, how it's going to look, but you don't have any idea of how you're going to make it. You even don't know what is going to be the material probably used. So an engineer or maybe a sculptor could probably help you in doing this. But how will you just communicate your idea to the sculptor or the engineer until unless you have a drawing of your object? So it's very, very important that you have some very basic skills of drawing so that you can convey your idea to the third person who would probably help you to realize your final outcome. So as I was saying, in our institute, we would be helping out students initially with uh, improving the drawing skills. There might be students who are maybe superior, really good with their sketching skills. There would be students who are moderate, and there would be guys who are probably not really good with their sketching skills. So we will start on with the very basics, and we will move on to the advanced way of how to draw objects. So we have a lot of courses where we'll be focusing on how to draw things using some fundamental techniques. Okay, then we'll be using some standardized techniques through which everyone can start to draw basic objects. Okay, so after that, when we have matured a bit into the drawing, we'll gradually move into the design part, or which is the creative side. So as I said, everyone has a sense of design or creativity within them. Each and every individual has design or creativity within them. Only thing is probably they might be in a specific stream. They probably don't have used in a particular area. So through the sessions, so through the courses, we will be giving you insights into how to improve your creative thinking. So we will be giving you assignments. We will be probably wanting to you to create things through some unique process. We will want you to make come up with ideas which are very unique, and we will definitely give you some possibilities. We'll give you some examples of how to come up with some possible good, wonderful ideas, or how to go about coming out with creative stuff. And probably after that you can start with giving some concepts, and so we'll just give you the exact boundary. So we'll let you know how much wild you can go when you're going about creating a concept. So every time when you're coming up with something which is unique, you can't just go rather just wide. You also need to be looking within some sort of functionality or practicality. So you take a part of the wild or the creative part, and probably you come mix it with the functionality which can be introduced to come up with something which is unique. Okay, so that is how the sessions happen. So we will be doing courses which is related to graphic design, creating posters, creating animated characters, coming out with the stamp, creating logo design, creating pictograms, doing some sort of artwork, sculpture. All this will probably help you with improving your design skills. Also, in our institute, we also rather just don't focus on improving your drawing and creative side. We also help students with improving understanding of materials and material handling. So many of the time, you know that after the examination, you probably need to work. You will probably have a studio test, maybe. And at times, you probably need to work with materials. So through the sessions, we would also give some uh, hands-on experience on working with materials like different materials like paper, metal wires, clay, thermocol, so that you get to also know that some sort of functionality and practicality also can be introduced into you guys. So that is how probably the courses will be conducted from our own side. Now I will give you a very quick understanding of what is the major difference between the field of art and design. So many of the time, students are in a confusion. What does exactly the word design means, and how is it connected with art? Is it the same? So many of you are probably aware of the fact there is something called as Bachelor of Fine Arts, and even there are courses like Applied Arts in our country. There are a lot of students who really are interested into doing artworks, pursue courses on Applied Arts or Bachelor of Fine Arts. So why should I not go there, or why should I go for design? What are the major difference between the field of art and design? So actually, if you look at the past, you can see that design is something which is a functional part of art, or it is majorly you can say that design basically evolved from art. It is not that design is an integral, is a altogether different part, and art is something entirely different. No, you can consider design is actually basic, actually came from art, and um, it is something which is looking into the aesthetics as well as the functionality. So let's start to understand what exactly does the word art and design basically look into. So basically, if you look into the art side, you can see artist. The basic difference between an artist and engineer. I'll talk about the engineer first. So if you are into creating a chair, probably a furniture, and you want it to be made from an engineer, so the things which will be considered while the engineer is about to create the furniture is what is the type of load which is going to come on it, what how much kilogram of the weight is going to come, is it 60 kilogram or is it 100 kilogram? Okay, so he might be worried about the weight which is probably going to come on it. He will be also thinking about what is the material which he should be using to make so that it does not collapse. He would also be worried about how is it going to be manufactured finally, how can I get it manufactured, is it going to be molded or is it going to be casted or is it going to be individually manufactured and I'm going to assemble all the sub assemblies using a ton bolt. All these are the areas which will be considered by the engineer. And there is one part which probably he might not give a lot of interest into, that is aesthetic. You can't just complain him because the insights which probably an engineer have in the field of aesthetics would be limited. On the other hand, if you look at an artist, if you're asking an artist to go about creating a chair, what his area or what he would be rather interested in will be only in aesthetic. He will not look into functionality. So if you are asking an artist to make a furniture, he would do something which is very personal. An artist does work basically for his own personal pleasure. He does not do it for the world. Okay, an engineer does things majorly for satisfying rather a larger mass. It's not a very personal thing. Engineer do products or make things maybe which is going to be mass produced or which is going to be industrially produced. Artist what majorly does is more or less for himself, and it is something which gives some sort of satisfaction to him. So he's not rather worried about the world around. He only creates what he feels is right. So when you are asking an artist to do a chair, probably he would create something which might look aesthetically interesting, or it might be something like this. Might be a chair which cannot be used for sit. It just looks like something which may look like chair, but it might not be functionally something interesting. But it would definitely be a piece of art which would tell, wow, that is something which is very unusual. So you might look into that, and that might be what you feel about it. That is something which is very unusual. I have not seen that before. But if you are asked to sit on it, probably you won't, because it's something on which you probably can't sit actually. On the other hand, now we finally you come to designer. Designer is someone who is in between an artist and an engineer. So designer exactly understand what is the technical or what are the functionalities which is needed when you're creating the product, along with what is the aesthetic that I should be add onto the product so that my product really sells well in the market. So if your chair is going to be sold probably in a luxury market, is it going to be sold in a very on an average market space? Is it going to be sold on maybe in a restaurant? Is it going to be sold in a bar? Is it going to be sold in a hotel, or is it going to be sold in a restroom? Or maybe it could be very personal room. So based on all these insights, he would start to come out with the design or the aesthetics of the chair. So along with that, based on the functionality, he would design the chair. So designer is someone who understand art and engineering. So if you look at the education system which we have been followed is majorly in the area of engineering. If you look at the way we had our education system, if you look at our education system, it's majorly something which is very engineering oriented, which is very, very logical. Unlike engineering, artist or art is not something which is very logical, rather it is very emotional. Okay, it is something which is very emotional, but a designer can't always rely completely on emotional things to come up with a chair. Maybe you can't just say that, okay, this is what my mind is saying when I'm going to make a furniture. And if you plan to make something which your mind says is the good and you're planning to sell it in the world, everyone probably might not like it. So you have to optimize between your emotions and what is the practicality. That is how the final product, what our designer is going to do. Now, coming to giving you some very basic insights into the design process, which everyone, irrespective of whichever design-based stream you're going to follow, you're going to look into this standard process of creating stuff. So, designer, maybe you're a car designer, maybe you're an interior designer, you might be furniture, maybe glassware, fashion design, graphic design, or communication, whatever it is. The basic standard process which everyone follows to come up with the final product is up to some extent the same. So, let's explore what is the basic fundamental process which we can follow to go about creating a product. So it basically starts with the major word content, that is empathize. So empathize means to be in the shoes of someone. So if you are planning to make maybe a furniture for an old age person, or maybe going to create a food bowl, maybe a food bowl, not football, a plate for a kid wherein he can have food in it. So if you are asked to make furniture for maybe an elderly person, or maybe uh, a vessel for a kid, a container for a kid in which he can have food, if you are asked to make them, you probably need to empathize with them to exactly understand what are the problems faced by them. You can't just come to the conclusion saying that, okay, he's an old guy, so probably he'll have difficulty in holding the sitting onto the chair. He might probably or there will be difficulty in him to get out of the chair. You can just randomly can't come up with some conclusion until unless you exactly explore and you yourself experience what is happening with an old person. Usually a good designer, when if you look at any good design process, the designer who is going to create the product actually empathizes with the person or the emphasis with the consumer for him that for whom the product is going to be made. So if it's going to be for an elderly guy, the designer probably would have to be with the elderly person maybe for a certain period of time, maybe days, maybe months, and maybe you never know, it can be years also, depending upon the type of product. Okay, so if you look at the products like Apple or the products from Microsoft, those are so really good with a large varieties of culture, geography, gender group, age group, because these are products which has come up with a lot of empathizing and lot of research which has gone into it. Okay, it's not that something which just came out of somebody's idea and they randomly introduced into their product. No, it's based on a lot of empathizing which has happened with it. So that's about empathizing. Maybe if it's for a kid, as I said, if it's about creating a food container for a kid, you probably have to become a kid. Even though you are maybe an elderly guy, you might have to become a kid. You have to stay with the kids. You probably have to visit kindergarten. You have to play with them. You have to understand how the psychology of the kids work. Then only will you be able to exactly properly come up with the correct conclusion. So once you empathize with the consumer for whom you are going to make your product, you will start to do something called as define. Define means you will give the definition of definition, or you will start to synthesize the content which you got after you empathize. You will start to synthesize those, and you will start to define what are the your findings. Okay, for the elderly issue guys, these are all the problems, and these are the issues. For the younger person, these are the issues. Out of which this is the major content which is troubling 99% of the kids when you're considering having food. So this is a major topic about which you are going to do your next step. So that is ideation. So ideation is once you have a definition of so based on your empathizing and definition, you come out with your something called as your brief. So brief might be to create a furniture which would be helping an elderly person or an adult elderly guy to easily get sit or maybe get up from sitting. So that can be a brief. Based on your empathizing and your definition, the brief can be to make a furniture or a chair which would help an elderly person to easily get out or get up from the chair. That could be a brief. So you can, based on what is your purpose, you can come up with whatever briefs you want. So based on this definition, you come up with this basic brief. From this brief, you start to go to the next step that is called as ideation. So ideation is the phase where you start to explore different possibilities. You go, as I said, when you have to do ideation, so you have an ideation phase where you can go wild onto one side, and on the other side, you can be very pragmatic or very practical. So you find that I don't want something which is very conventional in the current scenario because there are a lot of products which is very much similar to this product. If I only look at the practicality, let me come up with something which is very unusual but still yet very, very useful. So I come up with something which is very unusual and wild in this part. Then I'll combine the wild with the practicality. And that is what is my final idea. Then once I have the wonderful idea, and I will move on to the next phase, that is prototyping. And again, this ideation phase is usually explored using illustrations or sketching. So you do a lot of since you're all designers, as I said, sketching is one of the important part when you look at any designer because that is the best medium to convey your idea. You do a lot of sketching. You do a lot of probably you go on to the next medium like Photoshop to do renderings, to understand the light and shadow, how the surface treatments are there, what are the type of material I need to use. You give some sort of surface finishes. You probably want it to be made from plastic. You probably want it to make from wood. You probably want it to be made from metal. How is it going to be looking after it's going to be made? So you just ideate. You do some sketching. You refine it to make a material finish, fit and finish. After which you probably can even go into digital mediums like Photoshop and from there you can even jump into CAS or CAD, computer aided styling or computer aided designing, to get an understanding of how the product is going to look once it's made. So after this ideation phase is done, you have an exact idea of how the product is going to be looking like. So from that part, you move on to the phase called as prototyping, where you actually make your product. So the products can be either in two types. One is a product which is going to be just functional product, and there are products which is rather just aesthetic. For example, if you are looking at something, making a product which is probably not having a lot of functional purpose, rather it is something which is purely aesthetic. Okay, so in that case, you need not probably test the product. You probably need not test the product, just rather something which looks aesthetically interesting. However, majority of the time, when you are a designer, you need to come up with a product which is having some sort of functionality. So you make your product with the exact materials. Okay, the products can be made up of wood, metal, whatever it is. You go about creating your physical product to exactly understand how it is going to physically look like. So that is about prototyping. And once you do your prototyping, you move on to the next stage where it is testing. So as we were talking about the furniture for elderly guy, you did a prototyping and you need to probably test it on an old guy. So you probably take your product to some old people and to try and test it with them, so that and probably you get some sort of feedback to see how your new concept is functionally doing. So based on your test, you can come to the conclusion whether it is the really the best. So have I reached the goal? And if you feel that there is some sort of improvement which probably need to go, you can either start on with going to empathize again. You find that there are something which is left out with them based on the feedback or the final product. You can even go back to the first step, which is empathize, or else you can just go to a definition part where you think there is something which is lost, you go back to the defining part again, you define what is being lost, and then you go back again. Or you can even start on with ideation, where you can improve your product based on some insights from the test. And finally, you can come to the conclusion where you get to the result that, okay, now the product is really well and good, and I can proceed further to making the product. So nowadays, if you look at the current scenario, most of the products, once they are launched, you can see that a lot of feedbacks are taken from our customers or the consumers, and based on that, they go to the definition or the ideation part, and they reiterate the product, and they make the product far mature or better. So that is what many of the industry does in the current scenario. But whatever it is, this is the standard process which many of the any design related organization or any designer will be following to come up with his final conclusion. So as I said, it's not necessarily that this is something which is to be followed only by a product designer. This is something which can be followed by an animator. For example, if an animator need to create a short story which is related to something, he need to understand what is the character. Probably his character is related to a dog. He probably need to spend a lot of time with dog to understand his behavior, how the dog behaves with a person, how do dogs behave within themselves. To get to that, from there you go to the definition. Okay, so these are so basically your intent is to make a character for your story which is based on dog. So you define your character of your dog, you do your ideation, you probably make a small model of your dog based on your ideation. For example, if you look at any cartoon character, maybe Tom and Jerry, definitely they would have followed the same process to come up with the character of Tom. Getting it? So it could be again in the field of fashion design or ceramic design or graphic design, whatever it is. This standard process is basically being followed by designers to come up with a final conclusion. Now, as I said, the standard process, I think it's now well and clear. If you are supposed to create maybe a toy for a kid, you need to look at a lot more things within this parameter. When you look at empathizing, you need to look at a lot more of things when you're going to create things for a kid. Maybe you don't just look at aesthetics, because what is that matters a lot for kids. Kids probably might not be really mature in terms of their sense of aesthetics. Rather, what should be more given importance is about functionality and safety. Okay, this is another area which should be given a lot of importance, especially safety, because it is for kids. No parents would be wanting their kids to use something which is dangerous, or a toys to be which is going to be dangerous for their kids. So safety is of one of the utmost importance. Then there should be a lot of thrill and fun when using the product. So these are all the areas which comes when you empathize. So when you empathize with the kid, you will come to this understanding or this insights. So based on that, you will start to do further ideation. You will start to do empathize. You will start to do the definition. You will start to do ideation, and finally you will go about coming up with a prototype. Maybe, and if you feel that the prototype is really come up nice, you will take it to the kids and probably get it tested to get some feedback from them. So this is a standard process our design based students will be following. So I hope the content was informative. So this is the very basic very basic intent of how the design based stuff is being taught, or the design contents which probably will be taught in the design schools. Usually, if you look at any of the colleges, let it be NID or a NIFT or maybe in any IITs, the standard process which any design school follows is during their entire semester, which is probably of 6 months, they would have different sub courses within the 6 months. So some courses will be probably of 1 week, and there can be courses which is ranging from 2 to 3 months. Okay, there can be a large a detailed course also. So in this detailed course, you will probably follow the entire process of design, starting from empathizing, defining, ideating, prototyping, and finally coming up with testing. So depending on what is the duration of the course, you can extend from maybe 2 months to 3 months during the entire session. wherein you will do, for example, if you are a fashion designer, you probably will be wanting to create a fusion fashion wear, a future fashion wear for maybe a 2030. And the theme there will be a theme which will be given to you, and you will start to do some research. Based on that, you will come up with some sort of ideations, and after which you will go about creating the prototype. So you will have this entire college space where you will have the wonderful system, a wonderful opportunities provided with a lot of workshop and different materials and mediums which you can probably use to come up with your prototype. So you get to learn a lot of things rather than just your the contents which are probably within your specific stream. For example, many of the time you might be a person who might be into interior design, but many of the times you will have opportunity to interact with students during their course in graphic design or maybe a product design. So there are a lot of learnings which is going to happen interdisciplinary also. So that is something which is going to be really helpful for you guys to becoming a good designer. It's not that you are going to be a glassware designer, so you only stick into that. You might not come up with something which is very unique or unusual. So when you have a lot of insights from different stream of design, maybe you're getting some wonderful ideas from typography or maybe from graphic design, you can incorporate into ceramic and glassware design. That is how you come up with something which is very unusual and creative. Okay, so these colleges are one of the really good platforms where you can you will be given facilities and all the requirement or the required elements which probably would be helpful for you to become a proper full-time designer. Okay, so I think you have got a very basic insights into understanding how the courses happen. So usually in the sessions we have classes which will be in this online platform. We use Photoshop very frequently, wherein you will be having presentations, and along with which we can probably sketch and probably convey the contents to you. Okay, I think the next portion, I think our next faculty would be helping you out uh, with that. Admin, you there? Yeah, I think the next portion can be continued from with Wazim. I think Wazim can take up from the next portion. I think, is it fine? Hello.
Hello. Hello. Thank you, Sachin. Thank you, Ibu. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll start my session for you today. Let me just share the slide. Um, Hi everyone. Am I audible? Can you please respond in the chat box? Yeah, hi Sami, hi Adnan, hi Isha, Harshavardhan, Sanika, Ocean, Marfa Ghafoor. Hi everyone. So myself Wazim, I've done my master's in computer integrated manufacturing, and currently I'm pursuing a PhD in manufacturing engineering section at IIT Madras, and also working for Tata Steel's Advanced Material Research Center as a senior project scientist. And so today's class, what I'll be handling is to give you an idea about UCEED Common Entrance Examination for Design. Okay, basically part A is what I'll be concentrating more, but I'll try. There's an echo. Okay. Hello. How about it now? Still, is there an echo? Ocean, is it echoing now? One second. Just no, not anymore. Okay, fine. So I'll be even the classes I'll be handling for part A. So mostly I'll be explaining it to you about part A, and if possible I'll try to touch part B also, but mostly I'll be explaining it to you about part A. And please utilize the session to the maximum. Please keep responding in the chat box. Keep asking questions, and yeah, first I'll give you an idea about the type of questions for UCEED. I think it's not required for you to explain more regarding why UCEED is being conducted. You might be doing it very well. Okay, UCEED exams are basically conducted for admissions to mainly it is conducted by IIT Bombay for admissions towards 4 institutes mainly, which includes IIT Bombay, IIT Hyderabad, IIT Jabalpur, and yeah, one more IIT is there, and after that, for all these 4 campuses, they'll be taking the admissions, and also other colleges are all taking using UCEED marks, like some of the private universities, like Manipal and all many other colleges are considering UCEED score. And first, I will be explaining it to you a little about the type of questions that you can expect for UCEED exam. Okay, so. Do you guys want some intro about UCEED or directly start into the demo class? Or do you want to know about UCEED and all those kind of things? How do you prefer? Okay, so we'll directly start with the things that is better. So when these are 3 things which I want you to know about. One is that there are questions from 3 sections mainly. Okay, one is numerical answer type. Next is multiple select type, and the third is multiple choice questions. Okay, so numerical answer type, basically you will have a question, you have to enter an answer. So you have to type something like 25,200. So you have to type the number. Okay, MSQ is basically you will have a question and 4 options. More than one option will be correct. So it might be A and B correct, A, B, C will be correct, or A will be correct, or A, B, C, D is correct. So you have to, and if you do not mark all the correct answers, then it's negative marking. So A section 1 doesn't have any negative marking. MSQ will have 0.19 negative marking, and MCQ is basically you'll have 4 choices, and one of them will be the correct answer. Okay, and the part B will be drawing. So I will be handling with part A. I'm not going into the mark distribution because we want to directly go for a demo class basically. Okay, but before that, I'll just explain it to you that The time for first part A is 240 marks, for part B is 60 marks. And this is how we'll be structuring our class, okay, based on your syllabus. So your classes by THiNC, okay, need a design expert as well as a figure-based non-verbal questions expert on figure-based non-verbal questions, okay. And it is your syllabus is basically divided into 6. One is visualization and spatial ability. So in case of visualization and spatial ability, it is you'll have questions related to testing your spatial intelligence, where you'll have transformations of or moving or rotations of 3D objects or 2D shapes, and then you have to find out which is the option, or you will have questions from mechanical and scientific concepts. So today I'll take part A and I'll make you solve a few questions or explain the theory behind that and all this. Since it's a demo class in 45 minutes, we have to utilize, we'll try to explain a little about a few questions from part A. Second one is an environmental and social awareness class, which will be mostly dealt with a design expert. Next is an observation and design sensitivity, which is also we'll have a design expert who will be explaining it to you, observation and design sensitivity. Analytical and logical reasoning will also be explained by a logical reasoning expert who will be handling visual and spatial ability. Okay, and also language and creativity will have a language expert for you, and again design thinking and problem will be again design expert. So you'll have a design faculty who will be dealing with the design related portions, and a non-figure based non-verbal staff who will be dealing with your analytical and logical reasoning, visualization and spatial ability, and language and creativity. So mostly all these 3 portions I will be dealing with for you. And Vibhu will be dealing with all the design-based portions. I think you might have attended Vibhu's class, right? Then you'll have a drawing faculty who will be helping you because they have started drawing last year. Okay, Harshavardhan. Okay, fine. So you will get a chance to know Vibhu more. He's an NIDian. And he'll help you with all the design-related questions, how to crack the design-related questions. Okay, you will have a drawing expert who will be dealing with part B alone. Okay. Now, before rushing on to the starting with the class, I'll just quickly scroll down 2020 question paper to show you the type of questions which are going to come. You'll have a question paper like this. First is NID type questions. So this question, if you can see, question number 1 is based on mechanical and scientific concepts, which I told you in the first, in the first portion, in the first heading, first subheading, you had mechanical and scientific concepts, right? So knowledge of the practical, you can see knowledge of the practical, everyday mechanical and scientific concepts. Okay, so for this portion is what the first question is. So the question what they are asking is you'll have a lot of screws which has threads, internal as well as external threads, and you have to join all these kind of things, which will have 4 threads and 3 threads, and then what is the highest, longest jointed length which you can attain. Okay, so for this you should have an idea about threads, you should have an idea about internal and external threads, you should have an idea about left-handedness and right-handedness, you should have an idea about 3 threads and 4 threads. So all these comes under basic scientific and mechanical concepts. Okay, so I'll be helping you with all these kind of things because we have made a portion for all these kind of things. And so next one, it's again a question is given where using perspective you should be able to identify very clearly how many of the squares are available in the hidden pattern. So design expert will be helping you with this. Then again I will be dealing with so all these kind of questions. The thing is you have to enter the number. If they are asking how many number of squares are there in that patch, you have to enter the number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 like that. Okay, so you'll have a few questions like this where you have to enter the numbers. And type 2 would be, you would be given multiple select questions. You'll be given questions and they are saying that when you rotate, they overlap, which all are the, Adnan, what is the problem with the audio? Is it echoing or you can't hear me, or can you just tell me so that I can rectify it? Is everyone facing that problem or only Adnan? Can others hear me, or can Adnan just? Okay. So I think Adnan, it should be an internet problem because Ocean and Nisha, they're not finding any problems as such. Yeah, so here you have four options. Okay, might be A and B is correct. They are saying that when you overlap, what are the designs which you're going to get, which is possible and all this. So A, B, and C would be possible. Might be A, B, C, D, and is possible. So if you say that A, B, C is possible and only A, B you have, and if you A, B, C, D is the answer. If you have entered only A, B, C, still you will not get the marks. That's how multiple select is. Now the third type. So a lot of questions from this, from all the portions which we have shown in the syllabus before. Next is multiple choice. Basically, you'll have four options: 1, 2, 3, 4. Only one of the option will be correct. That's it. Okay. So I'm going to start with the class for you. So section 1. This is the section which I'll be dealing with you today. One is diagrammatic questions and pictorial questions to test understanding of transformations and or manipulation of 3D objects and 2D shapes and their spatial relationships. So basically they'll be testing your spatial intelligence by doing all these kind of things. Knowledge of practical and everyday mechanical and scientific concepts. So I'll try to give you an idea about a few portions on spatial intelligence today and a few on mechanical and scientific concepts as well. Okay, uh, so we might need to know few things about 3D spatial ability. So because that is the first thing what is going to come. So to improve your spatial ability, the first thing what we are going to do for you is help you observe a lot of three-dimensional objects, rotate the three-dimensional objects and all those kind of things using a three-dimensional software. Okay, called as of now we are using a software called as SolidWorks. So for that, this is software 3D modeling software which is being used in the industry. So right now we are using it. We are modeling it over here and then using it accordingly. So you can see this three-dimensional part, right? You can see this three-dimensional part. So what I would like to tell you is, in your detailed class, we'll have some 2-3 hour session only on projections. But right now, just think, when you make a three-dimensional object, okay, when you make a three-dimensional object, okay, you can look at that object from the top. You can look at that object from the front. You can look at that object from the left. You can look at the object from the right. You can look at the object from the bottom. So like this, from all the 6 planes, you can look at the object. Okay, if this is the three-dimensional object which is there for you, you can look at the object from front. Just think right now you have an object like this and there is a plane behind. So when you actually look from front, okay, you might be seeing this edge, you might be seeing this edge, you might be seeing this edge. When you look from front, you will see this edge also, you will see this edge also, you will see this edge. Okay, but this edge will go hidden behind this point. In detail, you will understand when I teach you the concepts of projection and what is projection. Okay, so what right now what we are going to tell you is, when you have such an object, Okay. You can rotate and keep the object to exactly identify how the object looks when you look from front. You are just rotating that object and keeping it in such a way that that face is parallel to you. So this is what you are going to see when you look at the same object from front. Okay, where this is the edge which you see, this is another edge which you see, this is another edge which you see, and this is another edge which you see, this is another. So this face completely you will see, this face also completely you will see. So basically, this is what you see in the front view. So if I am just keeping it in a drawing view, this is what you will see. Do you understand this regarding front view? Basically, projection is itself a 3 hours class, but in 30 minutes, what all I can include about projection in a quick way, I'll just tell it to you. So, do you understand what is projection? What is front view? When you look at an object from front, which are the lines, which are the edges, which you see. Harshavardhan, can you mute your mic, please? Yeah, thanks. Okay, so your front view is also called. Okay, so front view is also called as, okay, elevation. Okay, because right now if you have a three-dimensional object, or if you have a house, okay, just think if it's a three-dimensional object, it is basically if you keep a three-dimensional object and look from the front, that is when you see the height of the object. Is it correct? Is it correct? If you place that object in front of you and if you look from the front, that is when you actually see the height of the object. Am I correct? So front view is also called as elevation. So right, for your exams, don't expect terms like front views, top views, and all those. And leave exam perspective once you're starting with your work when it relates to design or architecture. Anything related to basic design. No one is going to use the term front view for you from now. They'll tell you the elevation. Okay. Now, the top view. So when you look at the object from the top, what do you see? You will see this one when you look from the top, right? This one face, the side you will see, right? This one face you will see, right? But that one plain completely. Can you see that blue one which have lines? This one. When you look from the top, you will see that one, right? You will also see this one when you look from the top. Am I correct? This, okay. So basically, if you look at an edge point of view, you will see this edge. This is what you see. This line will go hidden behind this point. This line also will go hidden behind this point, like that. So, if you're looking at the front view, this is what you see. The top view. Is it correct? So, your top view is also called as plan. PLAN, plan. I would just note down. Here, the front view is also called as elevation. Clear? Everyone? So now, when you have a side view for the object, this is what you see. Correct? For the same object. Is it correct? Now, one interesting thing I'll show you. Okay, all these things actually comes under something called as orthographic projections. Okay, project. So for that you have to understand what is projection. You have to understand what is the different types of projections. Basics about parallel projections. You'll have to understand about perspective projections, and in parallel projection you'll have one of the classifications orthographic projections. So right now what all we are talking about, plan and elevation and all those kind of things, comes under orthographic projections. Can you just tell me a place, a place where you have heard this term plan and elevation a lot, where people actually use this term plan and elevation a lot?
In the architecture stream.
Yeah, so in the architecture stream, Harshodhan, correct. So in the architecture stream for preparing the plan of the house, okay, the plan of the house, that is something which we from childhood, if our parents talk about, yeah, they will draw the plan and they'll give you and all those kind of things. What exactly are they talking about? Do you have any idea about what exactly are they talking about? It is sorry?
Can't get you what you're saying.
Yeah, so when people say plan of a house, what are they actually giving you? So an architect is telling you, okay, here is a plan of the house. Okay, so what is that is included in the plan of the house?
The top view.
Yeah, so it is basically the top view of the house, which includes the floor plan, which includes the room split, right, which includes all the room split which is there, which can be seen only if you look from the top. So before construction, he is telling you, if you look from the top, your house dimensions will be like this, your room dimensions will be like this, but this drawing will not have any details regarding height of the house. It will have only two dimensions, which is the length and the breadth. But elevation will not have, elevation will have only length and the height when you look from the front. Clear? So this is what you see here. They'll say this room will be the master bedroom, this will be the hall, this will be the kitchen. Like that they will divide, because that is what you see from the top view. So that is the basics of projection. Okay, now you have to see the object. Right now there are a lot of questions that comes by exam to test your spatial intelligence. Okay, so first I'll just tell you what do you mean by spatial intelligence as such. Okay, spatial intelligence is basically you have a two-dimensional or three-dimensional image or an object. You visualize it in your mind's eye, the movement of that object. Okay, the movement or the transformations. For example, right now I am showing it to you, this three-dimensional object. Okay, and I'm telling you this object is rotated 90-degree clockwise, or a portion of the head is cut out, or it is flipped, it's completely flipped. What you see, you have to visualize without flipping it in real, but in your mind's eye. Okay, if you are able to do that, are you able to do that or not? That is what they are going to test by giving questions. Okay, so some career people, some people who are working on in a few careers, like architects, like designers, like engineers, all these people should have good knowledge, good skill on good spatial intelligence, I should say, good spatial intelligence. So they would be testing you on that by giving you questions. For example, they will give you a question like this, and they'll give you 4 options and say that which of these would exactly look like, which might be a view of this object. So if they would say, okay, is this the same object, they would give like this and say, can that be a same object, like this, and say can. So all these kind of 4 options they would give you and ask which of these same object in different views. Ocean, I would make it into, change it in different angles, but different direction of view. Okay, your viewing direction is being changed. That's it. Okay, but they are not going to change that. You should be able to identify by rotating or transforming the object in your mind's eye. Okay, so shall we try a sample question from that portion? A sample question from testing your spatial intelligence. Yeah. The image in the box shows a 3D object. From among the options below, select the one that shows the same object from a different view. This is a 2016 MCQ UCEED question. Okay. So same thing what I told you before. This is the what object. They are rotating that and they have kept it. Okay. Some of the options when you rotate it, it might not be possible. They are asking which is that which is possible when you rotate and keep. I'll give you 19. I'll give you exactly 1 minute 30 seconds. Okay. After that, I'll explain it to you how to solve these questions. Time starts now.
A.
Was it Harshavardhan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, Sami. C. Perfect. Isha. Mirfa Ghafoor, correct. So I'll just explain it to you how to approach these kind of questions. Okay. So right now, we'll split this question into a lot of tiny parts. Okay, like you'll have this one, this edge I'm calling it A, this edge I'm calling it B, this edge I'm calling it C. Okay, this one I'm calling it A, this one I'm calling it B, this one I'm calling it C, this one I'm calling it D, this one I'm calling it E, this one F, this one G, and down it's H. Right? So right now what I'm going to do is, can you clearly see A, B, C, D, E, and F, E, F, and G in the question, and H is hidden? Am I correct? But looking at the options, you clearly understand that H is of this shape, a square shape. So that H you are going to rotate and bring it in front of you. So this rotating of the three-dimensional object to keep it in front of you is what you are going to do in your mind's eye. That is what are you able to do is what they are checking by checking your spatial intelligence. You understood what is spatial intelligence now from this question? When you rotate H and keep it in front of you, where is G going? Where is A going? Where is B going? Where is C going? Where is D going? Where is E going? And where is F going is what we have to identify. Now, don't think about all of these now. Split it. Split it. Look at 1 or 2 right now. Okay. Look at 1 or 2. Okay. So right now, I look at A and C. A and C. You can see A here, C here. When you rotate it, C will come here, A will come here. Do you have any doubt in that? And aren't you sure the mouth of C and the mouth of A is facing each other? That means it's facing towards the center. Both the mouths are facing towards the center. Can you see in option B, C is facing outwards? So when you look at the option, you understand that there's one option like that when compared to all other options. Okay, you go back and see. Here you look at the option, then go back to the question. You understand B is impossible. Is it correct? Is it correct? Because the mouth of B is facing outward. Do you understand? How do you cut down an option? Can you hear me? Now look at G. However, how much you are trying to bring H in front of you, G will go backside. But right now, the mouth of G is towards the right. Okay, but if it goes rotate and bring it backwards, the mouth of G will always be towards the left. And here in this option, the mouth is towards the right. Do you see that? Do you see that the mouth of G is towards the right? That means A is also not the answer. Now look at the difference between C and D. Here you can see this was E and this was F. When you rotate it, F will come here, E will come here, F will come here, E will come here. This option F is downwards, option F is upwards. You clearly know that your F, when you rotate it and go towards the left, F will be downwards. That means C is the correct answer, D is not the answer. Do you understand how to approach it? Am I helping you to solve it? So don't worry when you look at the question, you have to split that question into small tiny parts to approach it so that you can quickly solve it and look at the options and come back. So we will have a lot of methods. We follow a lot of methods to solve this. Before moving on, time constraints. Is there a problem if I take 10 minutes extra to give you an idea about these kind of things? Now it's 4:26. So that I can explain 2 questions to you. Of spatial intelligence, basically, of spatial intelligence. Now this is a question where they say if the given flat shape is revolved about the y-axis by 360 degrees, identify the solid shape that will be generated. This is one question. Next is, one second. This was also one more previous. This can be quickly solved. I'll teach you a trick to solve these kind of questions. I don't remember the year on which this question was asked. Okay, but this question is: imagine letter A are extruded into 3-dimensional object as shown in the figure on the left So right now they have a letter A. With this, if the word love is there, how much will be the number of surfaces? So right now, what I'm trying to say is, if you write like this, A, this is 2D, right? This is 2D. Is there any doubt that it's about it? It's 2D, right? When you include thickness also to it, that becomes 3D, because in the third dimension, you will have ocean. Yeah, that's what. In the third dimension, you have thickness also. So right now you have to clearly understand A has how many number of surfaces. Like that, love has how many number of surfaces. So I'll teach you a trick to solve these kind of questions. Okay. It's basically extrusion. I'll teach you extrusion using three-dimensional softwares. One second. I'll show you what is extrusion, what they are talking about. I'll quickly just solve you and then I'll try to help you answer this question. So right now you know this is a 2D, right? This V is a 2D. Is there any doubt in that? How many number of surfaces are there? How many number of surfaces are there in this V? Tell me. It is just one single plane or one surface. No doubt in that. It's just one surface. Right now I'm going to give 3 dimensions to it by bringing thickness to it. Okay. So when I bring thickness to it, you can see what is happening, right? Now, how many surfaces are there? If I rotate it and show it to you, it'll have one top surface. This is one surface. One bottom surface. That is 2. Then this will have 1, this 2, around 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Correct? Okay, I'll tell you there is an easier way to solve this. That is, rather than doing much of the things, an easier way to solve this is, top and bottom will have 2 surfaces, which is 2, plus total number of surfaces around the lateral surface can be found out by just counting these edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7. So total 9. Okay, if it's like this, if this is the approach, then how many surfaces are there for love? So I'll teach you what is the method which can be done. For L, there is one top and bottom. For O, there is one top and bottom. For V, there is one top and bottom. E, there is one top and bottom, like top surface and bottom surface. For L, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? There is 6. Is there any doubt in that? L has 6 edges. O will have inside one and outside one, so only 2 edges. V, as we had told before, E will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And E will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that is 8 plus 4 plus 9 plus 14. Correct? What is the total? This 35. Am I correct? 12 plus 9, 21, 31, 35, right, Sami? So do you understand how to approach these kind of questions, how to count the number of surfaces when you have such a kind of three-dimensional object which is extruded? When you have a 2D drawing and by extruding you make it into a 3D, how do you count the number of surfaces? Do you understand? Just count the number of edges. Just count these edges. And just count these edges, that's it. Plus one top and one bottom. Do you understand? You understand? Now can you see this is an axis and I have made a rectangle, okay? And what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to revolve the rectangle. Do you understand? I'm going to revolve the rectangle around that axis for 360 degree. So right now, this rectangle, you have an axis 360 degree around the axis. I'm going to revolve it. So can you just tell me what is the shape you obtain? Can you tell me what is the shape you obtain? It's a cylinder. So same way if you approach, if you look at a now, can you just tell me if you rotate this shape, what are you going to get? 360 degree. Okay, so you're actually revolving it around the axis and you get the cone. Okay, now if that is the way, one more example and I'll show you the question and you have to answer. Okay, so I'm just helping you to understand that how are we teaching you and how are we helping you to face the questions. Okay. So if this is a kind of shape, what you have, once you rotate it, you will get a shape like this, a tree kind of, a Christmas tree kind of. You understand, right? Okay, if that is how it is, then tell me if the shape what you see in the right, if you rotate it 360 degree, what is the shape you are going to get? All these questions comes under different kinds of extrusion. Okay, so basically how I'll be teaching you once you join THiNC is to understand about spatial ability. We'll be teaching you about extrusion, different kinds of extrusion and all those kind of things using 3D modeling softwares, and you will be able to answer any questions from this domain. So now tell me that what is the answer? Okay, it's also 2016 or 17 or 15 question. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Which one?
A.
Yeah. So you clearly understand, you might have clearly understood by now that since there is a hole here, that will end up having a hole in the center. So C is not the answer. Like this. And there is only one step. Here it's curved, so B is not the answer. Okay. Here there is a small step in between, hole in between, which is given here, but here there is nothing like that. So B is not the answer. Do you understand how to approach all these? Is it helping for you? Yeah, so I know that the time which I've asked you extra was 10 minutes and there is only 1 more minute left. For that, I'll just tell you what are we going to do regarding mechanical and scientific concepts kind of questions. If you are dealing, I have split all the mechanical type of questions into like a 5, which will include basically all the types of simple missions. You'll have a lot of questions from gears, like how to answer. So I'll explain to you what are the types of gears and how to answer these kind of questions which are coming from mechanical concepts. So mechanical concepts, these are the questions which they have asked till now. I would say till now there are questions which have come from screws. Okay, there are questions that are screws or threads. That questions have come. There are questions instead of wheel, the questions have come from gear, which is also a type of wheel. It comes in the category. Pulleys, they have asked. Wedge, also they have asked. They have asked questions related to scissors and all those. That comes under the lever mechanism. Okay, so inclined plane, last 5 years they have not asked, so you can expect the question from that. So like this, I'll be explaining it to you the concepts and how to answer the questions from each topics. Okay, so if I quickly take you through a few questions. From gear, they'll have questions like if this is the kind of mechanism what they have, which are the possible options which are correct. Like when P is rotating clockwise, this is a rack. For knowing this, you should understand about one type of gear which is called as a rack and pinion. So at that time, it converts the rotatory movement into a lateral movement. Okay, so this conversion is what we'll be teaching you how that happens about gears. Then, yeah, then parallelly there are other questions. There are other questions from pulleys which have come. So how to answer these kind of pulley related questions which are there will be helping you how to understand the concepts and all those mechanical scientific concepts. Then there are questions that have come from screws and threads and all those kind of questions. How to answer that, I'll be helping you. These are the questions that come from screws in the last few years. Then parallelly, there are questions from levers and all those kind of things like scissors. You might need to know. Ocean, all your questions cannot be answered using simple logic. You might need to know a little theory about a lot of motions. For example, I would make it really simple for you. I'll show you a question. Yeah, so to answer this question, you should have some idea about gear ratio and all those kind of things. Gear related questions. Then next one. About if you want to answer this question, you should have idea about what is thread, what is left-handed thread, what is right-handed thread, and all those. Because this question, the next question which have come in 2017 also, basically deals with left-handedness and right-handedness. You should know when you rotate one thread, left side and right side, how it's moving it forward or backward depends on the left-handedness and right-handedness of a thread. Same like that, there are questions which have come on scissors. For that, you should know about mechanical advantage of simple missions. Yeah, Ocean. So we'll be covering you all the concepts. Okay, all your portions. Like if I have told you, you might need experts from different domains. Okay, Ocean. You might need experts from different domains. These are I have only taken one portion for you from the whole thing in a 45 minutes class. I cannot even complete a part of the syllabus. I've just taken one portion for you. Your whole portions actually include this much. Okay. Your visualization and spatial ability, your environmental and social awareness, your observation and design sensitivity, analytical and logical reasoning, language and creativity, design thinking and problems. This class is only to give you an idea about the approach what you are following. We use the sophisticated softwares and technique to improve your visualization skills like this. But it's difficult to give you a lot of things in this 45 minutes. You understand, right, Ocean? Certain things you might be aware of, certain things I might be aware of, certain things I might not be aware of because I am not expert in that domain. Certain things you might have studied in the school, certain things you might not have studied in the school. So, but in exam point of view, that really does not matter. Okay, you might need to improve in all the areas. Okay, for example, if I am good in this, it's not that I am good in the art literature, the art history and all the sculpturing. Look at this sculpture, history of art and literature. I might not be good in that. So there's an expert who will be coming to explain it to you about all those kind of things. Okay, so before winding up, is there any other questions? Any questions from anyone? Any questions which you want to ask? If you want, you can unmute and ask or type in the chat box. So yeah, one more thing which I want to mention is using the usual approach which we follow. The thing is, we might take a lot of time, so we'll help you to find out easier methods to solve questions on certain directions, like how I had showed you the extrusion. You sitting and counting the whole surfaces around will take time, so it's better. This is the approach which you can follow. All these kind of things which you can do. You might have a contact number in the message which you have sent.